When you buy food from thousands of miles away, you don't know how it was grown, you don't know whether water was used unfairly from someone's water supply taken to grow your asparagus in Peru or your mange tout in Zimbabwe. You don't know whether the workers who picked it were paid fairly. You don't know what pesticides or chemicals were used in its production. And of course, the price of bringing it to you is only in the food and the cost of bringing it to you and the costs visited on the people whose land has been used quite possibly unfairly to grow it, but also the greenhouse gas emissions. We, in other words, have a global food economy, and increasingly we have a sense that this is an unjust economy, it's an unsustainable economy, and it actually is an economy that doesn't really give us quality in our food.
Well, one of the things about our global food system is that not only is it depersonalised, but it buys into our consumer culture of busyness and hurriedness and convenience, trying to get everything at once as cheaply and as quickly and as possible, and getting back and cooking it quickly, eating it in front of the television, all of that. I think a food system based around justice and relationships would have a very human face to it. So the system that we currently have is completely anonymised. We just pick up plastic bags filled with things on the supermarket shelves, and there's nothing in that thing that relates that thing back to where it came from. So if you buy a carrot, it won't have mud on. There's nothing there to tell you that it actually came from the ground. If you buy some chicken, it'll be an inert bit of kind of flesh. There's nothing there that tells you it used to be an actual chicken. And there's nothing that relates you back to the people who have been involved in producing, rearing, growing, picking, packaging those things that we are eating. And for me, we have got to move away from that.
Taking food for granted is, I think, wrong. And a casual sort of relationship to food where we just grab the first thing on the supermarket shelf, we're treating holy things uncaringly, unthinkingly, I think. If God shows the abundance of his love and his transforming power through the means of food, then we need to take food seriously and have a reverence towards it, a recognition of the giftedness of it ourselves. And it seems to me that to treat food lightly or to treat food uncaringly or ungraciously is, in some sense, it's sacrilege to do that. It would be sacrilege to do that.
I've often used the parable of the man who plans to build bigger barns in sermons and writings of mine, because to me it's a very powerful metaphor for our current situation. At the heart of the imperial global capitalist economy that we live in the midst of is a wealth accumulation system. People in their tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in places like Chicago and New York and London and Tokyo and Frankfurt are organizing human affairs, including agriculture, in such a way as to store up wealth, to garner wealth from the land, to garner wealth from seeds, to monopolize the production and the sale of seeds and of agrochemicals, in such a way as to use food as an instrument for growing wealth for the few, rather than ensuring the health of the land and the availability of food for the many. Jesus describes the man who planned to store up his wealth in large barns that he hadn't yet built as a foolish man. On that basis, we live in a foolish economy. To me, a just, a fair, a sustainable food economy is a food economy in which we are loving God and loving our neighbours as ourselves.
We have been created to have a connection with our land. The Hebrew of Adam, the Hebrew for earth is Adamah. We are literally earth creatures. We have been created to have that connection, Adam with Adamah, with the earth. And where we don't have that connection, we become less of ourselves. We become less of what it means to be a human being. And that can only have a detrimental effect on our relationship with God.